Hi guys, welcome, and today I'm just going to do a little chit chat about the things that I wish I had bought in Japan. So if you guys are like, stop talking about Japan already, sorry. I know, I did what I did buy in two parts, and I just really wanted to touch upon the things that I didn't buy because honestly, they're living rent-free in my head right now, and I'm hoping to kind of maybe, once I get it out, get your opinions, maybe I can forget about them, but I guess these are sort of like my regrets. A lot of this stuff I saw kind of early on and I didn't want to spend money on it because I thought, oh, maybe if I still go shopping in Tokyo, like I just didn't want to go overboard in Osaka. But there's quite a few items that honestly I wish I had gotten. So I want to start, most of the stuff's from Osaka. So in terms of bags, what I wish I had gotten, one, it was a Dobli Vespa in the PM size, and it was in this sort of like beautiful light gray color. It was $1,500, and it was from the store that I really liked, that I talked about in my first Japan haul video, Kai Torido. So it is in Shinsaibashi. It's literally a hole in the wall, and a lot of their stuff was just like beautiful vintage items. But I did not get it because one, suede. So Dobli is an Hermes term for suede, and it was a very light suede. And so already I could see a couple of dark marks, and I was like, you know what, this is just gonna get worse. And every time I wear it, I'm going to be feeling nervous about it. So I passed on that. I also did pass on a Yo bag. I did find a Yo bag on Brandier instead for about half the price, or less than half the price. So it was worth it. Oh, also in Kai Toridon was a Bully 31 in red Epsom. And it was about $2,200, which for a Bully 31 is a great deal, especially you're going to get it tax-free. At that time, I was like, oh, I'm not going to really wear red. But since then, I did buy a red Chanel. So I guess a pop of red is sort of what I was craving. I did have a Bully 35 if you saw my Hermes collection video, and I did end up selling that one. Other things I had wanted in Osaka was a Cartier watch. I saw it in 2nd Street in Shinsaibashi. So 2nd Street is sort of like a used clothing and accessory store. Honestly, thrifted items in Japan are so cheap. A lot of it is because Japanese people aren't as into used clothing. They much prefer everything new. So what they do have in those used clothing stores and thrift shops are usually in really good condition and for really good prices. They had this Cartier watch for about, I want to say it was about $1,700 for their tank, and it was very unique. It had all these like old school CCs on the inside, and it was a beautiful condition. But I had just purchased my black Rolex, so I was like, don't know if I need another Cartier watch as well. So speaking of Rolexes, I did see a 31mm Rolex in the black dial at Ginza Racing, and that is also in Shinsaibashi. In Osaka. It's actually a line, so there's also one in Ginza, specialized in secondhand watches, a lot of Rolexes. That one was $4,500 for a 31mm, which was actually a really good deal. But like I said, I also had already just purchased the 24mm Rolex. So I was like, I can't buy two black dial Rolexes in one day. And in terms of jewelry, I did see a Boucheron ring in one of the stores in Shinsaibashi. It was about $2,500. It was actually in my size. And I think this was one of the ones that I regret the most because I did, when I went to Vegas, I tried on a brand new one and those retail for $5,000. So this was basically half price and tax-free. But yeah, I guess when you spend a couple thousand already, you're just like less likely to keep buying items that are a couple $1,000s. So I passed on that, but I think whenever I go back to Japan, that's going to be on the top of my list, is a Boucheron ring. I think I did talk about it in my wish list as well. So yes, still on my wish list. And then in terms of clothing, at 2nd Street, I should mention that I did try a Gelato Peak cardigan. And so if you don't know, Gelato Peak is sort of like a pajama line, but it's high end. But I still don't get it because a lot of their stuff is made out of polyester. Sure, it feels nice and fluffy, but it's not going to wear well. And definitely I did see quite a few Gelato Peak items that didn't look quite so good. They probably accidentally threw it in a dryer or something, which is too bad because it's pretty expensive stuff for pajamas. But they had this cardigan in gray And I was really tempted because just the idea of getting something from Gelato Peak for like $15 seemed like such a great deal. But I was like, would I really wear that cardigan? It was kind of giving me vibes of that cardigan on Wicked, if you know what I'm talking about. So I passed on it, but now I'm like, oh, maybe I should have gotten it. Anyways, moving on for clothes, I also did see these pants from this place called El Rodeo, and I did try them on. And they're really cute, like a very Japanese style. But unfortunately, they were a little too small. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to buy clothing. That's too small. And so I passed on that. And I think that's it for Osaka. So then we went to Tokyo, the things that I wish I had bought in Tokyo. So I didn't mention it in my Tokyo vlog, but I did go to a Book Off Super Plus. So Book Off is a chain of thrift stores. They started off as books, but they also have like Mode Off and other off brands, chains. So Super Plus usually means they offer more than just books. So this one was in the Gotemba region, and they had upstairs, they had clothing and accessories, both men and women. So the clothing that I saw there was, the designer clothing was, you know, meh, it was all right. There was one denim jacket from the row, but it was an extra small, and I'm also not a denim jacket person. So I passed on it, but that was about $245. But I did see a vintage Chanel there. Nice big one, big CCs, gold-plated hardware. And it was like, I think about $2,400 maybe, which was a really good price. But at that time, I was like, you know what? I'm not into Chanel. I'm not into flaps. Like, I don't need to buy it. But since coming back, I have purchased 2 Chanel bags. So I don't know if missing out on that flap bag was sort of the catalyst for the other 2 bags. Granted, the other 2 bags that I got were not flaps. So yeah, I did pass on that, and not gonna lie, a little bit of a regret there. One of the things that's not luxury, not bags, clothes, or accessories was these little zodiac animals. So in Japan, in the New Year's, when you set out the mochi stack and like the little orange on top, you also put like a figurine of the year of that animal. So as you know, this is the year of the horse. But they had this set in Ginza Loft that had all the animals, so 12 animals, and it was like, I think it was like $60 USD. And I just was like, oh, I don't know. And then like, I think a day or 2 later, I was like, you know what? It's still on my mind. Let's go back for it. And it was gone. It was so sad. I actually thought like, oh, if I had gotten the whole set, then I don't have to keep searching for these animals every year, which is something that I do for every year. Zodiac year, I'll buy a different one. But then you end up getting kind of a mismatched set, which is not as cute. And so I thought these little wooden ones would look really cute with my wooden mochi set. So honestly, I think out of all of that, that might have been my biggest regret, sadly. Yeah, that's it for Tokyo. And then last but not least, what I wish I had gotten in the Narita, in the airport, before I was leaving, I tried on these sunglasses. I forget the name of the brand, but I put it here. And I really liked them because they were the Wayfair style, but because I have a very flat nose bridge, and you know, a lot of those styles don't work for me because the lenses touch my cheeks. But this one was raised off my face, but it was also like, I want to say $300 to $400, which is a lot for me. I don't usually spend that much on sunglasses. You know, I like to get mine at Nordstrom Rack in Ward in Hawaii. I usually spend about $100, $150 max. And then I just use that one until it breaks or wears down or I lose it. So I was like, you know what? I already have my one sunglasses, and I just bought that last year. So no sunglasses, but yeah, that one was a really nice pair. So those are all the things that I regret not buying. One of the things I do regret buying, I should say at this point, is the Suku eyeliner, the gel eyeliner, which was recommended by Michelle Wang, but she gets those as PR for free. So I'm just, you know, it's coming from a different place. So I try it on, but I thought it'd be great because if you've seen the tutorials, they say like tight line it. So you like put it underneath your lash line. You know, most of the time I have a Physicians Formula pen that I just put on the top, but especially for Asian eyes, if you have hooded eyes, they say tight line it so that you have more space up top, so you're not putting this big black eyeliner over your eye and making it look smaller. So anyway, I was using that as a tight line, but then I realized, one, it's really hard to get it off with like eye remover, makeup eye remover, because it's kind of underneath that lash line, and like I don't want to be putting it into my eyeball. And then two, if you don't take it off, it basically leaves a ring under the eyes, because even though it's technically waterproof and doesn't come off easily, you know, with the oils of your eyes, it basically gave me like raccoon eyes for days. Would not recommend that. So now I'm kind of bummed because since I did my wish list video, someone recommended one of the Suku lip products. I did not buy a lip product, so maybe that'll be on my wish list for my next Japan trip. Those were all the things that I regret not buying and the one thing I do regret buying. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!